It's time to plan our June bullet journal spreads, and for this month I've gone for the Fireflies theme. It's so cute and bright, so grab your notebook and come and plan with me. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Temi if you're new here, and I'm about to do my June plan with me video. So please give this video a thumbs up, please subscribe, and tell me what your June theme is down in the comments. For this month, I decided on something bright. So the last few months I've done some reds, I've done some pinks, I've done some greens, I've done some blues. I just like to change up the color scheme of my spreads, and that's kind of how I choose what themes I do. So for this month, I wanted to use a color I hadn't used yet, which is yellow. And what better yet to start off summer with a bright, cute theme. I went for a super simple layout. I just went for this mason jar with these fireflies inside, and guys, if you're used to any of my spreads, I'm always so intricate, I'm always so detailed, I do realistic drawings, but this month I was like, I want to speed this up. So I've literally got this very simple doodles, anyone and everyone can do it, and I just went for this June in yellow with a cursive over the top, and I just love how it came out. I added some solid lines for details in the mason jar and for the lid, and honestly I love how it came out. I always do a quote of the month, and for this month I wanted something along the lines of light. I wasn't really sure what I was going to go for, but in the end I went for this Bible passage, and I'm going to read out the whole passage to you. It's from Matthew 5 verse 16. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. So I picked up on the initial part of the passage, and don't be afraid to shine your light, don't be afraid to show yourself, don't dim your light for anybody, it's so important. And I added these yellow accents in the forms of shadows for the light. Just to tie the whole thing together, I added some doodles to the top left corner, and honestly, I love how this cover page came out. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. So next, I've got my monthly spread. Each month I generally do a main rectangle, which is normally around 42 by 30. So it's the 7 days of the week horizontally and then the 5 weeks vertically. But for this month I wanted them to be in individual boxes, but I don't want the boxes to be connected. So I found really nice inspiration from Pinterest, and it was from someone on YouTube called Anne's Life A to Z. Definitely check her out. And I really like the idea of having these boxes, and I spaced it out a little bit. Now I am not in love with how it came out, because I think because I spaced it out so much, it ended up taking so much of the page that it felt really crowded to me in the end. I added the days of the week in the squares in this yellow, and I just love how it brings the theme together in the simplest kind of way. Normally I do a very simple circle for the days, but I think this is a great idea as well. I added the days of the week in a simple cursive at the top of the page, and then I added my goals section. So I have my yearly goals, and each month I have a little section for monthly goals that coincides with my yearly goals, just to make sure that I'm on track. I'm tracking 4 main goals, which are spiritual, personal, art and work. And then I did some doodles of the fireflies on the side of the page. These firefly doodles are so quick and easy, like it's so interesting because I never do such simple spreads, but honestly it was so nice and easy. Then I added the June title to the side, again with just the feeling of the page being so crowded. I felt like there was literally nowhere else I could add it to, and I made a bit of a mistake on the U, and I just used a simple white pen to erase it. Lastly, I added some doodles to the top of the page as well, just to tie everything together. I added some little circles, little dots around the page, and yeah, here's my monthly spread. I think it came out so nice, and I love the big squares because it leaves me enough room to make sure I can write down everything I want to for the month. Next, we've got the mood tracker. Now, my mood tracker for every month always coincides very closely to the theme. So when I did the butterfly theme back in August last year, it was a massive butterfly, and so on. So for this month, I wanted a large mason jar where I would have 30 fireflies inside, and then I would just color the lights depending on the mood. Just tried to sketch out the mason jar, and I just tried to sketch it out in such a way that it covered enough of the page. And then I mapped out where I would want the fireflies to go. So I tried to change the kind of directions they were flying in. I tried to make it as random as possible, and honestly, as I've said, it's so simple. It's a little dot and then drawing a number 3 or an E. It was honestly one of the simplest things I've ever done. I'm so happy that the theme is so simple this month, because I think it will make making weekly spreads a lot easier for me as well. I then numbered the fireflies and I realized I accidentally drew 31. After all the counting to make sure it was 30, somehow I still accidentally drew 31. Then I drew around the jar and I just drew this really cute bow string, and again, another mistake at the top. This month was the month of mistakes, honestly, so I just tippex over that. And then I put this cute little key on the side where I have these fireflies flying in different directions, and then I chose different colors. So I have a dark, more vibrant yellow for the best kind of mood, and then I have a lighter yellow for a normal happy mood, and then I go into the grays. I use the Tombow grey markers and I go from a light grey to a dark grey to signify the moods. And then I wrote mood tracker at the top, and oh my gosh, like, is it just me or is my calligraphy really improving? But I think it just came out really nice, and I used the same natural cursive for the habit tracker side. And I do this every month, guys, so that's probably why it's improving. I've done enough of it. So for my habit tracker, I always do the same exact layout. So I flipped back to my grid spacing sheet and I've got the exact layout I need for my habit tracker spreads every month. So if you're familiar with any of my work, it's always this tracking of 6 habits, and it's always in a square in this format. And then I adapt it depending on the theme. This month, I finally got stamps. I've been talking about stamps for a few months and I finally bought some. So that is the ink pad that I'll be using, and this is the stamping block. So they come in 2 sizes, the rectangular size and the square size. Don't worry guys, I've got everything linked down if you're interested. And I've got the calendar stamp. So with the calendar stamp, they have different days starting. So they've got the Sunday start and the Monday start. So I always do Monday start, and then they've got the different numbers depending on the day of the week that they would start. So I chose the one that starts on the 1st on the Monday, and I tried to use post-it notes to block out the bits of the page that I wouldn't want the stamp to fall on. It has this perimeter rectangle around it that I didn't want, but as you can see, it was a flop every single time. And honestly, I need to practice using stamps, because sometimes the ink didn't really come out properly. Sometimes it was like double inked. It was honestly a hot mess, to say the least, but it's all a work in progress. It's a learning curve. I just filled in the bits that hadn't stamped properly. I did some doodles at the bottom of the page, so I've just got some fireflies in flight. I've got some dotted lines after to try to signify a trail. And yeah, just tried to make it really simple, really easy. I used the tippex just to go over all the bits I wasn't happy with. The use of the post-it note was so the 31 I wouldn't have to tippex it to get rid of it after. But honestly, it was a hot mess, to say the least. But I'm happy with how this spread came out. The mood and habit tracker, I think, fits into the theme very nicely, and it's so simple and so cohesive. Next, I've got the gratitude log. Now, I do a gratitude log every month because I think it's important to stay thankful. I think it's very easy to have a pessimistic view of life and just to think that everything is awful. But actually, when you make a conscious effort to pick out positive things, it really does improve your mood. So I wrote gratitude log at the top in a cursive, and as you can see, I made a bit of a mess. Like, June has been the month of just a mess. And I just tippexed over everything. Honestly, it's a mess. I also wrote art brain dump on the other side, and I always have an art brain dump page. In fact, in May I just done so much art and it's been amazing. I've actually had 2.5 pages for my art brain dump, so it might happen again, but I'm going to start off with this half a page. And here's the gratitude log, always very simple, and it's mainly for function, but I think it fits very nicely to the theme. And finally, I've got my week spread for week 1. I only plan week 1 spread on my YouTube videos, and I usually do each of the following spreads as I go along. So again, I flipped back to my grid spacing sheet, and if you're not aware of what that is, by the way, it's just a sheet where I've calculated the number of dots I need for a few different splits that I do very often, so that I don't have to count it each time. I wrote June at the top in a really nice cursive, and I put the numbers for the week in yellow with the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on top of it. Again, I did a simple doodle at the top, and I've just got the fireflies in different kinds of flight, and I also did the same thing on the bottom left of the page. I went for a vertical layout for this week. I always try to change up the kinds of layouts that I do each week to keep it interesting. So if you're interested in seeing the rest of the spreads for this month, they'll be on my Instagram at temi.journals. So I wanted to try out some other stamps. These are stamps from a company called In Love Art Shop, and I've got a whole bunch from them. So I might make a relaxing journal with me where I just do simple stamp kind of spreads. I went for this thing. I don't know what shape this is to be honest, but as you can see, it sticks very nicely to the stamp board, and I'm really trying to press it into the ink just so that we don't have a repeat of that calendar spread. I put it on the left side. I really had to decide where to put it, and then I went for the Be Happy stamp for the other side of the page. And I thought the Be Happy just kind of went along the lines of having the bright yellow. And again, there's something wrong with me because I couldn't stamp it properly. But ultimately, I think using stamps is a much easier and quicker way of doing spreads, especially if you feel like you're not artistic enough. I think it's a great way of doing spreads. And I've just put notes in that section on the bottom left, and I coloured in some of the other fireflies as well as part of the squiggly bits of the notes. And here's the final spread. So now I'll give you the final flip through of the month, and honestly this fireflies theme is so different. It's so different to anything I've done before. I love the yellow. I love the fact that I actually only used one accent colour for this month. This is so unheard of for any of my other spreads, but I managed to do it this month. And I just love the simplicity of the spreads. I love the simplicity of the doodle itself. And honestly, I think it's come out great, but I would love to know what you guys think. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Please like this video, please subscribe. I've got a whole playlist for all my Plan With Me videos, so definitely do check those out, and I'll see you on my next video. Goodbye.